Good morning, students. Welcome back to biology class. In the previous class, we discussed about the different parts of a flower and understood the structure of the male and female reproductive parts of the flower. Now, you know that stamens are the male reproductive parts which carry pollen grains, and these pollen grains contain male gametes. Now, these pollen grains need to be transferred to the stigma of the pistil, which is the female reproductive part. So, this process of transfer of pollen grains from the stamens to the stigma of the pistil is known as pollination. This pollination then leads to fertilization and eventually to the formation of seeds. This pollination may happen within the same flower, within the flowers of the same plant, or within the flowers of the different plants. So pollination is usually of two kinds, self-pollination and cross-pollination. So what is the difference between these two? Look at the diagrams here. Self-pollination. It is the transfer of pollen grains from the stamens produced in one flower to the stigma of the same flower or the stigma of another flower blooming on the same plant, and this is the self-pollination. Then comes cross-pollination, when the transfer of pollen grains from the stamens produced in one flower to the stigma of another flower of the same kind or species which is blooming on a different plant. So children, we need to take care here that the flowers are on the different plant, then this pollination is called cross-pollination. And to carry out this process of pollination, various agents are required like wind, water, insects, birds, etc., which help in this process of pollination. First, we will discuss the pollination by insects. Several animals like squirrels and bats are responsible for pollinating by carrying pollens. Many birds and insects are also the carriers of pollens. The brightly colored petals as well as the scent of the flower attract insects and birds, including butterflies and bees. They reach the flower in search of nectar, and during the process of sucking nectar, the pollens get attached to their various body parts. The same insects or birds then reach another flower, which may be on the same plant or another plant, and that is when the pollens can fall and reach the stigma of another flower. The pollen grains found on insect pollinated flowers are usually sticky or spiky so that they get attached easily. The stigma found in such flowers is hairy, which again aids in collection of pollens. Some examples of insect pollinated flowers are rose, dahlia, sweet pea, etc. Pollination by wind. Wind pollination takes place when the pollens that are ready for fertilization are blown away by wind and they fall on the stigma of another flower. Flowers that are pollinated by wind need to produce pollens in large quantities since there is no certainty that they will land at the right place. In fact, there are several pollen grains that do not land on the stigma. These flowers need not be brightly colored or they don't require to be scented or have the presence of nectar since they do not need to attract any organisms. Such flowers have lengthy anthers that are extending out of the flower so that they are easily blown away by the wind. Wind pollinated flowers have feathery or light pollens so that moving with the wind is easy. The stigma is also hairy so that collection of pollens from the air is easier. Some examples of the flowers that are pollinated by wind are wheat, maize, conifers, etc. Pollination by water. Plants that are pollinated by water are usually aquatic, but all the aquatic plants are not necessarily pollinated by water. Some plants such as lotus have flowers that bloom outside water and these are then pollinated by insects. Some plants which are actually pollinated by water include Vallisneria, pondweeds, etc. The pollens of these plants float in water, and when they come in contact with the stigma of the female flower, they get attached and undergo fertilization. Water pollinated flowers are generally small. They produce a large number of pollen grains. They have large feathery stigmas to catch the pollens, and their pollens are light and resistive to water, so they can reach the pistillate flowers. Okay children, till now we have discussed the natural ways of pollination. But in some cases the pollination is controlled by the humans. So the process in which the pollination does not occur naturally but is rather influenced by humans, and it is usually carried out to improve the variety of a particular plant. In this method, the gynoecium is kept covered with paper or polybag so that pollination does not take place naturally. Once the stigma of the flower matures, carefully selected pollens from the other plants whose characteristics we desire are placed on these stigmas. The seeds produced in this manner possess the characteristics of both the plants which we have selected, and this new variety is called hybrid, and the hybrid plant which is produced is of the superior quality and has all the characteristics which we desire. Several varieties of food or fruit bearing plants such as mango and grains such as rice, maize, wheats are produced by this manner. So children, once pollens reach the stigma by the process of pollination, what happens after that? Let's see. Once the pollens reach the stigma, they germinate and start growing a pollen tube that passes through the long tube called style, as you can see in the diagram here, and reaches the ovary. The tip of the pollen tube then gets dissolved to release the male cells in the ovary, where they fuse with the female ovule cells in the ovary to form the zygote. And this fusion of the male cells and female cells is known as fertilization. And then what happens after fertilization? The ovule that contains the fertilized egg eventually develops into a seed. The ovary enlarges and converts into the fruit that bears the seeds. The covering of the ovule changes into the seed coat, and the parts of the flower that are no longer required, such as petals and sepals, eventually dry off and fall off. With the pollination and fertilization, we complete our chapter here. I am sending you the worksheet along. If you have any doubts, we will discuss them in the interactive class tomorrow. Children, please keep one copy, pencil and your book with you. Thank you and take care.